An asteroid passes near our planet, sending meteor showers which strikes an enormous area of Russia, spanning 16 million square miles from Australia to the far east. The coastal regions of China, much of Japan, and the islands of New Zealand are hit by tidal waves resulting from the impact. Russia's most advanced space station, Mira, which is equipped with the latest satellite technology and artificial intelligence, isn't spared either, and as a result, it splits in half, killing all the cosmonauts except for one survivor. 24 hours before the impact, 15-year-old Lyra is in a car with her mother, Lana, her stepfather, Boris, and 8-year-old half-brother, Igor. The kids are being driven to school as Lana shows no interest in their conversations. The radio broadcaster announces that the asteroid will be a once-in-a-lifetime event, and according to experts, they assure that it poses no danger to Earth. Boris, attempting to lighten the mood, makes everyone uneasy by stating that the meteor will definitely hit Earth. They arrive and Lyra is dropped off first. Her school is busy with sports activity. She walks to the tracks wishing she would have stayed at home, and locks eyes with her crush, Misha, before joining the others on the track. She wears training clothes that cover most of her body, hiding the scars she endured when she was younger, from a fire breakout in an elevator. An event that led to her parents' divorce, leaving her stuck with her mother, since her real father is on a space mission. As the race starts, Lyra's father watches her through a city monitoring security camera at the stadium with the help of an onboard AI on the space station. Misha cheers for her as she approaches the finish line, but the sight of the flare on his hand causes Lyra to abandon the race, revealing the deep trauma she still suffers from her childhood experiences. Later that day, the family gathers to celebrate Igor's birthday. Before making a toast, Boris shares that over the past year, he has been a happy man, blessed with one child, Igor. He expresses his joy in marrying Lana, making him even happier to have Lyra as his second child. He also announces that they are expecting a third child. As they begin singing "Happy Birthday" and bring out the cake with sparklers igniting, Lyra experiences another panic attack, causing her to storm out of the celebration. Her mother quickly follows her, while Boris tries to calm the situation, his worry clearly visible on his face. Outside, Lana pleads with her to at least put on a brave face for Igor's birthday, unaware that the party is not the real reason for Lyra's distress, reassuring her that she is still her mother, regardless of Igor not being her biological brother and Boris not being her real father. Lana's phone rings and it's Arabov, Lyra's father, calling to inform her that Lyra has been experiencing panic attacks and couldn't stand on her feet earlier that day after seeing the flare. Without realizing that the call is on speaker, he tells Lana that it's time to admit they have a serious issue with Lyra and figure out how to help her. This sparks anger in Lyra, and as she walks away from her mother, she notices a city monitoring security camera swiveling in her direction and gives it the finger. Lyra's father decides to stop monitoring his daughter. The onboard AI notifies him of his racing heart and recommends that he take a moment to relax. It suggests a short, 3-minute pause accompanied by soothing music to aid in his recovery. Following that, Arabov directs the AI to erase the information from the last 2 sessions and refresh the video feed to the clusters. The AI cautions him that utilizing station equipment for unauthorized links to the city's video surveillance systems breaches data privacy regulations, but Arabov pays no heed to the alert. Meanwhile, other cosmonauts are outside, engaged in maintenance tasks on the space station. Arabov subsequently encounters Antonov, the commanding captain, in the command bay. He asks about the link he established and points out that, while he has erased the data, he did not hide the incoming traffic to the station from mission control. Antonov recognizes Arabov's deep yearning for his family and cautions him that, even after spending 6 years in space, the authorities are likely to detain him upon his return to Earth. However, Arabov remains undeterred, stating that there is no one expecting him and he has no intention of coming back. He expresses remorse for his recent errors, fully acknowledging the repercussions of his choices. Mission Control reaches out to the station for updates on the meteors. The crew informs them that, based on the onboard sensors, the meteor does not currently present any danger to Earth. They add that as they get closer to the clusters, they will keep monitoring the areas that are still unexamined. The technical officer points out that the clusters seem unusual. He warns that if the sensors are inaccurate, the fragments might follow a different trajectory not yet calculated, potentially altering their course away from the Pacific region. He suggests that evacuation of Russian citizens from Primorsky and the entire Magadan region should begin as a precaution. However, to provide precise data on the clusters, they need to get closer. The mission control commander expresses dissatisfaction with the information provided. He demands a detailed explanation of the calculations and asks if there is any possibility that Earth could be bombarded by the clusters, suggesting that perhaps evacuation from Earth should be considered, insisting on receiving more answers and clearer data. Back on Earth, the asteroid blazes through the sky as people watch the once-in-a-lifetime event. Amidst the excitement, Lyra sits alone, reflecting on the events of the day. Misha approaches her, curious about what happened earlier at school, but Lyra dismisses the question. Misha then begins to entertain her with tricks using his robotic arm, hoping to lift her spirits. He proposes they head to a location that offers an even more spectacular view of the asteroid. He guides her to a construction site, providing a clearer sight of the night sky. Misha shares his thoughts that tomorrow could be the apocalypse, but Lyra retorts that she would have received a warning if that were the case. She looks up and watches the space station's blinking lights in the distance. Later, she comes back home to discover Igor on her side of their shared bedroom. Frustrated that he has crossed the boundary line, Igor tries to justify himself by saying he was putting her portion of the cake from the party. Then, she hands him a pair of binoculars her father gifted her. She hints the unfinished building which she explored earlier, with its stunning view and lack of security, suggesting he could skip school and watch the asteroid instead. Oblivious to the fact that he might actually take her suggestion to heart, she playfully instructs him to return to his side of the room and get some rest. The following day, Lyra is left at home as Igor is taken to school, discreetly carrying the binoculars with him. Meanwhile, Mission Control gets word that the bigger asteroid has successfully passed and is now venturing into the depths of space. The crew's celebrations are cut short as new data reveals the clusters will cross the station's trajectory, heading directly towards Earth. The AI warns of immediate evasive maneuvers as Mission Control demands details, realizing the situation is more dangerous than they thought. With less than 8 minutes to act, the station is too heavy to fully maneuver on time. Following this, they undock the transport module to reduce weight. Arabov requests data and learns that Vostok, where his family lives, will be severely impacted. Panicked, he immediately calls her daughter. Lyra, still reeling from her father's words, chooses to ignore his calls. In response, Arabov instructs the AI to bombard her phone with relentless calls and messages until she finally picks up. Once she does, she receives a chilling command to run. Looking out the window, she watches as the initial meteor shower strikes the Earth, sending shockwaves that forces her to duck for cover. Stepping outside, she is met with pandemonium as people rush to escape. She cautions her neighbors about the dangers of the elevator, but her warning is ignored. Opting for the stairs, Lyra navigates her way to a first-floor balcony and leaps onto a car parked below. A woman desperately pleads with Lyra for assistance to rescue her son, who is stuck inside a car. Misha arrives on the scene, shattering the window with his robotic arm and unlocking the door. In the midst of the turmoil, they sprint towards safety, only to be separated by the sudden collapse of a building that falls between them. Frantic, worrying for Misha, Lyra fails to keep an eye on her surroundings and is struck, losing consciousness. Meanwhile, passengers Roma and Tanya rush to assist, lifting her into their vehicle. Tanya, convinced that her cat possesses miraculous healing abilities, gently places it on Lyra, hoping for a recovery. Eventually, Lyra stirs awake, bewildered and unsure of how she found herself in the car. Tanya expresses her gratitude to the cat, referring to it as a medical cat. Just moments later, they narrowly avoid a collision with a container truck. With no alternatives left, they decide to leave the car. Lyra notices a building crumbling nearby and attempts to alert the elderly couple, but they ignore her. In a rush, she dashes into a toy store just as the structure comes crashing down. The space station, split by the collision, results in the deaths of all the cosmonauts except for Arabov, who is rendered unconscious. Upon waking, he realizes he is the only survivor and watches a video recording of the impact. He then seeks information about Vostok and finds out it has sustained severe damage, with rescue operations currently in progress. The AI notifies him that his ex-wife is in the hospital, but his daughter is missing. It sends a status report to Mission Control, confirming Arabov's survival. Shortly after, Alexei contacts him, revealing that the station is irreparable and urging him to start evacuation procedures immediately. With only a few hours of power left, Arabov seeks help from the AI to search for surveillance cameras in Vostok City to locate Lyra's last known position. The AI tracks her phone's location at the toy store, finding Lyra unconscious. Arabov connects to a nanny cam with the help of the AI and gently wakes her and explains that the toy has a built-in camera, and since her phone is broken, she must take the doll with her. Meanwhile, a rescue dog is on the hunt, and she is ultimately saved. She is then given directions to a nearby chopper that is evacuating people to safety. Arabov contacts Lana and connects her with Lyra. Lana shares that they are at a university library being used as a makeshift hospital, but Igor is not with them. In the midst of their discussion, Lyra catches sight of the building she had pointed out to Igor and suddenly realizes he may have indeed skipped school, just as she had playfully suggested the night before. Feeling guilty, she apologizes to her parents, convinced that Igor's absence is somehow her responsibility. Just then, the space station's battery begins to drain, cutting their call short. With the AI assistance, Arabov manages to find the backup battery storage in the damaged section of the station. Although the AI insists he should make his way to the escape pod, Arabov, clad in his space suit, carefully maneuvers through the wreckage and discovers a cable leading to the batteries. Lyra reaches the construction site and navigates through the various floors, calling out for Igor. After searching, she finally spots him on the highest level. With no other options available, she tells him to jump, and she's ready to catch him. With the systems back up and running, the AI quickly finds Lyra, who is trapped in a building on the brink of collapse. Arabov establishes a link with her, and Lyra reveals that she has located Igor and urgently needs assistance to escape. Arabov directs them to a nearby hole on the ground as their fastest escape route. Lyra, carrying Igor on her back, prepares to jump, but the floor collapses beneath them, causing them to fall. Miraculously, Lyra manages to hold on, saving both their lives. She carefully descends, and once they reach the ground, they snatch the baby monitor and sprint out just in time, narrowly avoiding the building's total collapse. Meanwhile, Arabov dreads the worst for the children. He soon discovers that a connection still exists, even though the baby monitor's camera and speaker are broken. With the assistance of the AI, he cleverly utilizes car alarms, traffic signals, and various lights to direct Lyra and Igor toward safety. Following these signals, Lyra notices a city surveillance camera, expresses her gratitude to her father, and presses on. Arabov keeps a watchful eye until they reach a secure location. Just as they arrive at the evacuation point, a massive explosion sends shockwaves downing a chopper and knocking Igor off his feet. An alarm at the station indicates that the blast was triggered by a tanker offshore. Although Igor is unharmed, he is taken to a tent for evaluation. The medical staff are overwhelmed and unable to assist him right away. Frustrated, Lyra steps outside and begs an officer to allow them onto a departing chopper, but her request is denied. Misha, already aboard the chopper, spots Lyra and quickly hops off to offer his seat to Igor, reassuring him that we'll catch the next flight. Meanwhile, Mission Control reaches out to Arabov, questioning his delay in leaving the station. He explains that a small tanker has exploded and a larger one is on the brink of a catastrophic blast that could devastate the city. This sparks a tense exchange with Alexei, who argues that dealing with fires is the job of firefighters, not astronauts, but eventually concedes to assist Arabov. Time is of the essence as Arabov assesses the burning vessel and the potential explosion timeline, while the AI reminds him that the station will re-enter Earth's atmosphere in just 23 minutes. As Lyra and Misha await the next rescue helicopter, Arabov contacts Lyra using Misha's phone. Initially reluctant, Misha relents when he realizes the caller is Lyra's father. Arabov warns them about the raging oil tanker and instructs them to find a bunker, explaining that the helicopter won't make it in time and that the old system of the tanker requires manual intervention, preventing him from connecting remotely. He promises to guide them to safety, but Lyra, noticing the many others still in danger, expresses her frustration to her father, recalling the traumatic elevator fire from her past. She suggests they try to extinguish the fire with Misha's help, despite his hesitations and Arabov's objections. Their disagreement intensifies, leading Lyra to angrily toss Misha's phone into the lake, cutting off communication with her father. They board a boat headed for the tanker, with Misha curiously inquiring why Lyra conceals her scars. He reassures her that he sees no flaws and would take pride in them if they were his own. Reaching the tanker, they climb aboard, unfamiliar with their surroundings. They search for a way in and discover uncover a hatch. Inside, Misha opens a door only to be met with flames, nearly sending Lyra into a panic. She quickly steadies herself. Misha suggests she sit with her toy while he looks for another exit, but Lyra clarifies that it's not merely a toy. It's a broken baby monitor she used to talk to her father. Misha takes the monitor, fixes it, and manages to reconnect with Erebov. He warns them that the level they're on is on fire, and their only escape is through the engine bay. They swiftly find it. They descend into the engine room, searching for fire extinguishers. In a moment of carelessness, Misha opens a door, unleashing a pressure blast that knocks him out. Lyra, overwhelmed by the flames, to a panic attack. Back in space, the cables linking the remaining section of the space station to the batteries snap. The entire system plunges into hibernation mode, cutting communication once more. In a desperate bid to rescue them, Erebov makes the tough choice to cut off all life support on the station, conserving the last of the power for their salvation. This also means deactivating the AI. Once the system powers back up, Lyra is flooded with emotions and cries out for her father in confusion. Without AI guidance, Erebov connects to Misha's robotic arm and gently holds Lyra's arms to soothe her. He expresses his regrets for his past mistakes and explains that he is falling back to Earth because a meteor has knocked the station off its orbit. Lyra comforts him, assuring him that he is not at fault and that she misses him deeply. Erebov instructs her to grab the fireproof suit from the box beside her. Initially hesitant, Lyra finds strength in her father's voice and manages to extinguish the flames. Meanwhile, Erebov dons his sunglasses, embracing his fate as a proud father. Misha regains consciousness, and both are ultimately saved. Outside, Lyra watches the space station blaze across the sky and thanks her father for his bravery. Later, she reunites with her family and introduces Misha to them. Thanks for watching. Leave a like to show your support for more recaps like this.